Thank you for staying tuned tonight as we promised to having an interview with the Governor of Laikipia, Ndiritu Muriithi of County 031 to talk about the revenue sharing formula and what the counties are facing at this particular time where no money has been disbursed to the counties. Welcome, Governor Ndiritu.
Thank you.
All right, first thing first, the issue of counties facing a crisis at this particular time, I don't know if this is a challenge that Laikipia County has faced due to lack of funds, given that the revenue sharing formula, that revenue sharing formula has not been passed by the Senate.
Well, all counties have not been able to access the equitable share. What that means, of course, is that the resources that we have to carry out our various mandates are very curtailed indeed. So the answer is yes, and I think you've seen it around the country. For example, many staff dissatisfied because their salaries are late. And when you consider, of course, like say in the finance, that or in health, when you consider that many of these are the same people who are at the forefront of managing the COVID situation, you can see that it's a crisis indeed. And I fear it's a crisis that is not reaching any resolution soon.
Yeah. Okay, today in the Senate, of course, they rescheduled the debate of the revenue sharing formula, this being now the 10th time they're doing that. And we, of course, saw the chair of the Council of Governors, the governor of Kakamega, Wycliffe Oparanya, say that counties will shut down in 2 weeks should the Senate not pass that particular formula. Is this a stand that, Laikipia County government is supporting moving forward?
It's not really an issue of a stand. It's like this. If your car runs out of petrol and you don't have additional petrol, it will just come to a standstill. So we wished to inform the country that this car is about to run out of petrol, and the bank manager is not releasing our check. The bank manager being the treasury, and frankly, it's not really his money. He just happens to be the bank manager. And Kenyans have paid taxes with the legitimate expectation of getting services. Now, the bank manager is blaming the parliament that he needs a law to allow him to release the money. And that is what the issue is about. Now, if we go into the detail of it, the Senate has gone for a long time without enacting the county allocation of revenue bill. They say they are waiting for agreement on the new basis of sharing. However, the old basis still remains. Therefore, they have an opportunity, first of all, to pass the allocation bill uses the existing basis. If they had done that, then we would not really be having this debate, and they can then consider the formula or the basis of sharing in detail without feeling pressure. But now they have not agreed on the formula, and neither have they passed the county allocation bill using the old formula. As a result, we are unable to access our monies, and that's what has led us to the crisis. And as I said, the closure of business on the 17th is simply because the resources to pay for the services that we are expected to deliver have been withheld, and unfortunately, as I said, there is no resolution in sight.
Now that brings the question of whether Senate has failed devolution as it is. We have had, of course, the chair of the Council of Governors now say that there will come a time when somebody can, go to the High Court and file a petition to dissolve the Senate, because they have really failed to defend the devolution sector here in the country due to not being on the forefront to fight for, what should be done at the devolution level. Do you think Senate has failed in their mandate?
There is no doubt in my mind and in the mind of most Kenyans. In fact, the senators themselves lately admit that the Senate has failed to discharge its most solemn responsibility, which is to enact the money bills. Mm-hmm. Now, the Constitution does not countenance a situation where there is no continuity of government. Because think about it, when a citizen comes to the hospital, you can't start debating whether Senate has passed the law or not. The citizen needs service that exact time when they are sick. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, the Senate has failed. And what the Council of Governors pointed out was that the Supreme Court, in a very fundamental ruling a few months ago, in fact warned Parliament being Senate and National Assembly. The Supreme Court rather, warned the Parliament that failure to enact these money bills, and these money bills have a timeline. You are expected to enact it before the 30th of June. Mm-hmm. So in fact, you are expected to introduce it by the end of April, mm-hmm. so that it has been passed by the end of June. Mm-hmm. So failure to do so constitutes a gross violation of the Constitution. And further, the Supreme Court said, it just puts the whole country in existential danger. And therefore, such a parliament must be considered to have failed in its duty. And in the ruling of the Supreme Court, mm-hmm. such a parliament ought to be dissolved.
All right.
Therefore, what the governors were pointing out is simply that read the ruling, mm-hmm. and reflect on the fact that you have failed in your core responsibility, which is to enact the money bills, mm-hmm. and to support counties. And on all these counts, the Senate unfortunately has failed.
All right. We have had talks of this issue of revenue sharing formula is more political than issue of service delivery to the common mwananchi. Case in point being the 12-member special committee that was formed to break the impasse concerning this particular matter. We had claims of bribery. We had claims of blackmail. Can we now say that this thing has taken more of a political turn than even looking at what the common mwananchi should deserve?
I think we must separate issues. I saw this afternoon the minority leader speaking. I was watching it on television. He was speaking on the floor of the House, a bit Kali, saying, the fact of the matter is that there are senators who have attempted to extort governors and even other persons who are called to appear before various committees of Senate. And I wish that the very senior Mr. Orengo could take judicial notice of this fact. It is a fact. Mm-hmm. And personally, I would be very happy to swear an affidavit to say who tried to extort me when I was invited to appear before the Senate. Mm-hmm. So that's a separate issue. And it had to do with why is the Senate committee insisting that we must appear in person?
Yeah.
For instance, you are interviewing me on Zoom. You did not insist I have to come to your studio because you accept the fact that, first of all, the technology is available. Mm-hmm. These are times of COVID. It is not necessary. So governors are simply asking the question. We had already agreed, and the Speaker of the Senate had written to us to say will be appearing virtually before committees. What is so special about this particular committee that governors have to appear in person? Now, as you and I know, or can imagine, when people appear in person, it creates a certain interaction. That's all we were saying, and that's a very separate issue. Now, enacting the law that enables counties to access their constitutionally directed equitable share. Failure to pass that law creates such a danger to the whole country and to the enterprise of devolution. And you are seeing it with staff, some going on strike, some threatening to go on strike, with services very compromised because we don't have enough resources to pay for the services that we are expected to provide Kenyans. And not because Kenyans have not paid their taxes. Kenyans have paid their taxes, but because the simple law that is supposed to enable or govern that process, has not been passed. So now the failure of Senate to pass the law, is it a political question? I think your guess is as good as mine. My own speculation is that it is a very political question. A very, very political question. And it has to do with 2022. Here is the thing. Some counties may not receive as much money as they were receiving before. Those counties obviously were not happy if they're not going to receive the same amount of money as they received last year. Those who are looking for votes in 2022 have to try and please those counties. And that's why this whole thing is not getting resolved. Is there a technical way to resolve it? There is. Because what you can do is look at all the counties that are worse off, how can you compensate them? And that is, you can use the equalization fund to compensate all the counties that would be worse off when you apply the formula. But in any case, even as you debate those issues, nothing stops you from facilitating the money using the old formula, so that counties are not brought to a standstill. Since all those options are available to the Senate, you must ask the question, why is the Senate not exercising those options? And I'm quite sure you, as young intellectuals in KU, you must ask these questions. When a whole body is behaving in a manner that defies logic, what is going on?
Governor Ndiritu, you have raised quite a pertinent concern, which really has been, the big question concerning why don't we use the second formula as we await them to sort of agree concerning this third formula, which is quite controversial. But the issue has been that Mount Kenya, which Laikipia County is part of, will continue to lose should we use the second formula. And you'll remember that, the proposal amendment by Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata to shelve the third revenue sharing formula until 2023 was scuttled by the Senate. Therefore, it brings about the concern that the issue of population versus land size will continue to be a great debate. Because I know that the Senate could have agreed to use the second formula. I mean, even the last financial year, they decided to shelve the third formula, to use the second formula, because yet again, they had not agreed. Therefore, it brings the question of winners and losers. And therefore, we want to ask you, why would you want them to use the second formula, yet Laikipia or Mount Kenya in large will be losing, quote unquote, when we use the second formula?
The purpose of the state, the cardinal purpose of the state, is the protection of life. A state that cannot protect the life of its citizens, has no legitimacy. So, as a leader, what should I choose? A bad formula that protects the life of Kenyans, or a mythical good formula that aids in the killing of Kenyans? Right now, you know, all of you TV stations, media, commentators, you've been asking how ready are counties, how prepared are they to manage the COVID?
Yeah.
Being prepared, for example, is having more ICU beds. You've been going around saying, oh, do you have enough isolation beds, 300 beds and so on? They don't fall from the sky. I have to buy them. I can't buy them without resources. So, even if you are to claim that the third formula is better for Mount Kenya, this debate we are having now is jeopardizing the lives of the same people in Mount Kenya, even as we wait. So, if you come to my hospital in Nanyuki and there is no medicine, that because I'm waiting for a formula, that is very illogical to me. So I would rather do the correct thing. The law anticipates when we have a problem, what should we do? So for instance, the law says, if for whatever reason we have not enacted the money bills by June 30th, then we should invoke a procedure called vote on account, where we access 50% of the money, even as we try to solve our manenos. So the question is, I ask again, all of you young electors, what is it? These legal options are available, yet we are not utilizing the legal options. We want to go on the high stakes, high risk game that can result in Kenyans dying because the doctors and the nurses and clinical officers have gone on strike because we have not paid them, because we are not disbursing the money. Is that any sensible way to proceed?
No.
So, yes, we should have a formula that is fair to Kenyans. In trying to get that formula, we should not put the lives of Kenyans at risk. We should have a formula that takes into account Kenyans in their various needs and in the various places where they live. And we also should have mechanisms for correcting the mistakes of the past. That is why we have the Equalization Fund. So those who are saying, oh, some areas of Kenya were marginalized before, I have this to say to them. You know, if there is a hole outside your studio, it would be not wise to dig another hole in order to fill the first hole. So the better way is to say, how can we equalize? How can we compensate? How can we right previous wrongs? And that is what the Equalization Fund is about. But we can't say, let us now punish those areas that are more populous because in order that we equalize them with the areas that are less populous. That is not logical thinking. That is only creating more problems for the future.
All right. Governor Ndiritu, you talked about the issue of using the vote of account. Should the formula not have been passed? And this is something that Senator for Murang'a Kangata, who is the majority whip in the Senate, once the Council of Governors had a press conference, of course, to say that in 2 weeks they'll shut down, he came out quite boldly to say that they had a meeting with the Controller of Budget, the Solicitor General, and the National Treasury to agree that the counties to be given 50% of the funds they should receive using the second formula. Therefore, it raised the question, have counties received, or is there a pipeline for counties to receive that fund, given that one faction is talking about this, the other is talking about the other thing? So what are we not being told here?
Well, I was in that meeting that Senator Kangata is talking about. I think if you listened to the statement by the majority leader, Senator Sam Pogisio, he read a very detailed statement this afternoon on the floor of the Senate.
Yeah.
In it, he is making the case for why Treasury should proceed to disburse 50% on account. Meaning, whatever meeting Senator Kangata is talking about did not yield progress. As you know, the Treasury, in its wisdom, had asked for an opinion, a legal opinion, from the Attorney General. And the Attorney General had suggested that it may require a resolution of Parliament to authorize Treasury to proceed on vote on account. Now, Senator Pogisio's statement, which is the formal position of the Senate, is that there is enough law to allow the Treasury to proceed without waiting for a new resolution.
All right.
So what the majority whip and other Senate leaders should be doing is helping us to convince Treasury that there is enough law to allow them to proceed without them waiting for a new resolution of Parliament. And that's where the matters are. Well, I'm glad finally Senator Pogisio has made the statement on the floor. I presume they have transmitted it to Treasury. So let's see whether we are able to make progress.
All right. So my question now then will be, what is Laikipia County doing in the meantime to survive, given that there are no funds? Remember, this particular time we are fighting the pandemic. We have seen health workers strike, some threatening to strike. It is a concern even in Laikipia County in the health sector, and not only in the health sector, in different sectors in the county, they are really facing a crisis. Therefore, what some of the measures counties have taken in this particular time to quote-unquote survive? We
have several sources of revenue. One is the equitable share, and that is what is held up by this big debate. We also have our own source revenue, because by law, we have certain taxes that we collect, and we are collecting those. Of course, we also have certain balances from, for example, in certain funds and certain accounts, we had certain resources which we are able to continue to use. So we are surviving on a shoestring. Fortunately, we are up to date in terms of salary payments up to the end of August. Frankly, going into the end of September, we'll be struggling a bit more unless we are able to unlock our own source, not our own source, our equitable share. So some counties are not as strong financially, so they're struggling even more. But in our case, we've been able to pay salaries, and we're up to date with the payment of salaries. Also, we've been able to make payments not to all suppliers, but to a good number. So we are able to inch forward, but not in the speed that we should. And unfortunately, just as we've all said, by the middle of September, we will frankly have run out of fuel, and the car will have to.
All right. Some of political analysts, or let me call them policy experts, have raised the concern that even as counties, want more and are pushing for more, we still remain with the question of accountability. And therefore, it will raise the question of, if counties are receiving this much and we have not seen much development, I will raise the issue of counties that have said that they have been marginalized for a long time, the Turkana, Marsabit, and all of that. The money that they have received in 8 years, Kenyans have been questioning the accountability of the funds they are receiving in the name of marginalization or the landmass. And therefore, my question will be, are county governments really, or are governors really being accountable for the funds that they are receiving each and every financial year?
We welcome accountability, and we welcome oversight. And that's actually the way it is. What we are questioning is this. the Public Accounts Committee wants to invite a governor to go and shed light on the accounts from the year 2014-2015.
All right.
What purpose does that serve? 2014-2015 is 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Where have you been all this time?
And maybe it is a different governor.
Why didn't you do oversight then? This is a different governor. Even if you find some wrongdoing, there is no court of law that can find me culpable because I was not governor then. So that, and even if it is a second-term governor, why are you coming now 6 years down the line? What have you been doing those 6 years? So I think that to ask those questions is not to refuse accountability, is to ask the common sense question. Yes, I want you to interrogate my audited accounts, and I want you to interrogate them in a timely manner. You can't wait for 4 or 5 years, then show up and pretend you're doing your job. You are not. You are looking for something different. If you want to oversight me, why can't you take, first of all, you can take my management accounts, which are available every quarter. Every quarter, we publish management accounts. We report to the controller of budget these management accounts. If you want to timely action, why can't you use those ones? If you want really to oversight me, why can't you look at my last year's audited accounts? And they are available. So to pretend that looking at the 2015, 2016 accounts is oversight, it is not oversight. That's just looking for room to have certain conversations. Oversight is looking at audited accounts in a timely fashion.
All right.
To answer your question, is devolution working? Because you asked that, like, are we effective?
Yeah. Right.
Let me give you 3 pieces of data. Since I've been governor, and this is my 3rd year now, the road network in Laikipia has increased by 850 kilometers. I found it at just near 7,000. We are now at nearly 8,000. So in 3 years, we have increased the road network. Half of it is earth, half of it is gravel, a little bit is tarmac. It has increased by 800 kilometers in 3 years. Since wakati wa mkoloni up to 2017, it had increased by 7,000. So you tell me, are we working? Is devolution working or not? Since I have been governor, the number of the primary healthcare facilities, meaning dispensaries and health centers, has increased by 18, meaning there are 18 places where citizens now can go to a facility near them. They don't have to walk very far or take a matatu. So devolution is working. And we welcome oversight. However, let us not pretend we are doing oversight when we are wanting to question accounts from 2013, 2014, or 2015, or 2015, 2016. That is too far back in history.
Governor Ndiritu, I have been in the Senate Public Accounts Committee when you were invited to come and answer questions concerning certain financial year. And my question will be, given the claims that governors are being extorted, have you at one point been extorted by members of the CPIC or the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate?
As I said, speaking on my own behalf, there was a senator who approached me with certain demands, and I'm quite happy to make a full account and statement and name that senator.
All right. Therefore, as we wind up, since we are pressed on time, what can be your final remarks concerning this particular issue? I know it's something that is on the pipeline, now that you've talked about the majority leader, Samuel Pogisho, having, told the National Treasury, of course, to disburse 50% of the money to the counties. What can be your final remarks concerning this particular matter?
Well, one, that all the different actors, the Treasury, the Parliament, the Attorney General, the Controller of Budget, I hope we all realize that we really are putting devolution and the lives of Kenyans at very grave risk. Every day that passes without us ensuring that counties are getting their equitable share is a day that we are putting the lives of Kenyans at risk, and it is truly unacceptable. Not only is it unconstitutional, it is immoral and it is unacceptable. We, as governments, as state organs, we should not be putting the lives of Kenyans at risk.
That has been Governor Ndiritu Muriithi giving us a perspective of what is happening in the counties at this particular time, where counties are facing a cash crisis and almost paralyzing due to lack of funds, as the Senate has not passed the formula to share revenue to counties. He says that the Senate should agree that they use the second formula to share funds to counties to ensure that there is continuity of services to the common mwananchi, of course, raising the concerns that there is extortion in the Senate Public Accounts Committee, the committee given the mandate to oversight funds given to counties. We are taking a short break, but we'll be back with more. Do stay tuned.